It has cooled off a bit here in Chicago, and everybody wearing jackets tonight. At least the smart fans are, as we get you set for Cubs baseball on Comcast Sportsnet. Game 2 of a 4-game set as the Cubs play host to the NL East leading New York Mets. Great to have you with us. Jim DeShays, Len Casper with you. 4-3, the Cubs winner last night to start this homestand, and there's nothing quite like first-inning home runs.
Yeah, and back-to-back home runs has kind of been a theme for the Cubs in recent days. Yesterday it came early. Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo went back-to-back. We had folks in the bleachers for the first time all year, so Chris Bryant found a unique way to say hello. Picked in a high fastball from Jacob deGrom. He said, I better get the ball down. That didn't work. Very next pitch, Rizzo goes deep. The Cubs out to an early 3-0 lead.
So for Bryant, his second homer in 3 games, and for Rizzo, his 5th in his last 10. It'll be Jake Arrieta tonight. JD got off to a really good start. Lately has scuffled a little bit.
Yeah, first 4 really good. You see the numbers, 3-1 with a 2.03. He's lost his last 2 with an ERA approaching 7. Stuff is still good. Command a little spotty the last 2 times, and some bad luck, especially last time out against St. Louis. Some soft hits against him in that game.
And the eyes of the baseball world on this start tonight, because 22-year-old Noah Syndergaard, one of the top prospects in the game today, will make his major league debut.
Big, hard-throwing right-hander. They call him Thor. He's got a fastball that gets up in the mid-upper 90s.
So it's Arrieta for the Cubs, Syndergaard for the Mets. The Cubs are 1-0 since the bleachers reopened in left and center last night. Looking for some more fun tonight. Game 2, Mets, Cubs next.
Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. AT&T Uverse. Find out what's possible with AT&T. Call 1-800-PIC-ATT. Mobilizing your world. Ford. Check out America's freshest lineup at your local Ford store or at localfordstores.com. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com.
Back here inside Wrigley Field, Chris Bryant signs a lot of autographs. It goes back to his minor league days. Very fan-friendly. And that is a popular signature here in Chicago, isn't it?
Yeah, it's must-have. You get a chance to get Chris Bryant, you're going to shout him down.
Let's check out the Mets Southwest starting lineup. Curtis Granderson in right, the Chicago native in the leadoff spot. Daniel Murphy at third, batting second. Michael Kadire. Lucas Duda hit a home run last night. So did Wilmer Flores. They went back-to-back. Kirk Neuenhuisen for the injured Juan Lagares. We'll give you his update in a second. Boecki, the catcher. Syndergaard batting eighth. How about that? Tejada. playing second and batting 9th.
Cubs defensively this evening, Coughlin, Fowler, Soler. In the outfield, boy, Starlin Castro made a sparkling play last night. He's joined by Chris Bryant on the left side of the infield. The right side has Russell and Rizzo. Miguel Montero will do the catching this evening, and our Lexus Pursuing Perfection starting pitcher for the Cubs is right-hander Jake Arrieta. 3 up, 3 down, 3.41 the ERA for Jake.
Going with the short sleeves tonight, even though it's pretty cool. Then again, he's pretty cool.
He's not going to bow to the elements.
Jerry Meals, the crew chief, will call balls and strikes and other various things. Paul Emmel is at first, Jordan Baker at second, and Andy Fletcher is over at third. I was talking with David Ross before the game tonight about John Lester, who got pretty aggravated by Andy Fletcher's strike zone, and David kind of played intermediary and essentially tried to distract both guys. He told Lester, just look at me. Told Fletcher, just talk to me. And his line was, we have 3 catchers. So if he got kicked out, he wasn't worried about it. He just wanted to preserve his pitcher, which he was able to do through 6 innings last night.
Yeah, that's part of the job description too, isn't it? To kind of be that guy and tries to keep the pitcher level-headed, keep him in the game. Be the mediator with the home plate umpire when things get a little testy.
So here is Granderson against Arrieta. They've matched up quite a bit going back to their American League days. And Granderson 9 for 25 with 3 home runs. Cubs overshift to the right on the infield, and away we go, ball 1.
Talked in the open about Arrieta's recent struggles, and you know, I mentioned, especially in the St. Louis start, that a lot of soft hits, a couple infield hits, bloop single here and there. But he was not particularly sharp in that game. Fastball command wasn't where it normally is.
Anderson hitting his .238, but his on-base average .357. He will take his walks as he did off the bench last night late. And a pinch hit appearance, 2-2.
Leading off the game, trying to see some pitches, work the count a little bit. Left-handers have not been an issue for Arrieta. They hit .206 against him. Misfired there.
Full count. Daniel Murphy on deck. Mets are banged up. David Wright, Travis d'Arnaud on the DL, and Juan Lagares not available tonight and may not play tomorrow as he's dealing with a strain under his armpit as Granderson walks. And talking about David Ross and the relationship he has with John Lester. We don't know what they're talking about, but just the idea that, you know, starting pitcher would allow his catcher to have that deep a conversation during the game. It doesn't happen every day, does it, like that?
No, I just think it's the nature of their relationship. And I think it's just who David Ross is as a catcher. I mean, he's been around a long time, really understands pitching and how to get people out. So I think any pitcher would be wise to spend some time talking with him. Joe Madden calls him coach.
Yep. Granderson took the leadoff walk. Murphy went 0 for 4 in the opener. And in the dirt, 1-1.
So Arrieta has allowed 4 runs in each of his last 2 starts. You have to go back to August of 2013, to find a time when Jake gave up more than 3 earned runs in consecutive starts prior to this little bump in the road here.
And that would have been shortly after he became a Cub.
That didn't happen at all last year. Span of about 35 starts. So Montero trying to get him on the plate a little bit. A little running fastball for ball 4 to Granderson off the outside corner by a wide margin, and this changeup also off the plate. Montero just trying to get him back in the strike zone here. Doesn't have to nibble. He's got outstanding stuff.
Missed again, 3-1. Michael Kadire on deck. Mets lost a game off their lead in the National League East, 2.5 up on the Washington Nationals. Double play ball. Russell to Castro to Rizzo. 4-6-3. It's a nice little turn of events.
Yeah, I thought they might have Granderson running just to try to stay out of that. Murphy, a very good contact man. It's a perfect double play ball. Had some pace on it. Allows Castro to get clear of Granderson and make the return throw to first base. Tidy.
So just like that, 2 outs, and it is Kadire. Home run swing. He came up empty. 2-time All-Star, won a batting title 2 years ago with the Rockies. 11 seasons with the Twins, 3 with Colorado, and this is his first year as a Met. Down along the right field line, and it's going to drop about a foot foul right next to the bullpen mound. 54 degrees. As we get started, a northwest wind at 15. So kind of blowing left to right, maybe a little bit out toward right.
Yeah, if it's going to help anywhere, it would be in that direction. Balls in the air towards left field will probably get knocked down pretty well.
Technically a crosswind. Swing and a miss, strike 3. So Arrieta struggled a bit with his command, got the double play ball, then the strikeout. The Cubs are coming up as Noah Syndergaard makes his big league debut. Will donate $100 to Make-A-Wish, Illinois. Let's check in on the Cubs Southwest starting lineup that'll face Noah Syndergaard, the 22-year-old righty. Fowler, Bryant, and Rizzo at the top. Montero, Soler, and Castro in the middle. You see good work done here in the month of May by the Cubs right fielder. Cogman had 2 hits last night. Arrieta still looking for his first, and Addison Russell will hit 9th.
Mets set up this way defensively. Kadire in left, Neuenhuis center, Granderson right, Murphy, Flores, Tejada, Duda on the infield, Kevin Plawecki, a rookie behind the plate, and a rookie on the mound. Indeed, making his first major league start, Noah Syndergaard. He's the Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher for the Mets. He wasn't perfect at AAA Las Vegas. He was really good though, 3-0 with a .182.
A lively fastball, good curve and a change. And he can hit.
97 miles an hour to start the game. The challenge for him, of course, is control the emotions.
98 and a strike at the knees.
From Mansfield, Texas. Surprise, surprise. A hard-throwing right-hander from Texas wearing number 34.
First round pick of the Blue Jays in 2010. Came over in the R.A. Dickey deal. He's not wasting a lot of time. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Fowler went, so Syndergaard's first career batter strikes out. Call made by the home plate umpire, Jerry Meals. And Dexter simply asking, why don't you check at third?
Once it's called, they're not going to check. Didn't look like much. No appeals process for that play once it's called. Well, here we go. Here's the dream matchup, right?
Syndergaard and Bryant.
Power hitting slugger and one of the premier pitching prospects with that 97-mile-an-hour fastball going toe-to-toe here.
It's going to hold up for Neuenhuis. And if you're wondering why Chris Bryant's batting average went down after a 1-for-2 last night, and he added only 1 RBI even though he hit a 2-run homer, it's because they made a scoring change. On May 3rd, he was credited with an RBI double against Milwaukee. They have taken it away and charged Elian Herrera with an error.
I would comment on the play, but I don't recall it. If I really cared, I could flip through my book.
Here's Rizzo. He hits that hard on the ground, but this is going to be a 7-pitch first inning for Syndergaard as he makes quick work of the Cubs. Scoreless after an inning.
Welcome back to Wrigley. We are scoreless here at the top of the second, and oftentimes we see how much work these players put on when they are out here on the field, but so often they're also doing things off the field. Like this morning, Jason Mott, one of the relievers here for the Cubs, he and his family went to the Advocate Children's Hospital and spent quite a while visiting with a handful of children. He said just talking to them, spending some time. He said about it, just about anything from school to their favorite foods, just giving them a sense of normalcy in their day. And I think Jason went on for about 30 minutes, guys, telling me about this visit because it meant so much to he and his family. Of course, a big part of the Strikeout Cancer Foundation. And what I took away from it was what he said about putting perspective on life. Sometimes you can feel like your day's pretty bad at the ballpark, but certainly after spending some time with these children, you understand how great you really have it.
Good stuff, Kelly. Thanks. And the Cubs players all do a lot of work in the community, make a lot of appearances that we don't talk about. We probably should more often. 1-2 on Lucas Duda, who homered last night. He's got 10 doubles. Off to a pretty good start.
Yeah, obviously the Mets without David Wright missing some thump in the middle of their batting order. Duda, a very important piece for them. Mets off to this good start this year. First place club, currently 2.5 games better than the Nationals, primarily because of their pitching. The bullpen has been outstanding. The starters, in terms of ERA, have been the best in baseball. Runs at times have been tough to come by. 17 times this year the Mets have been held to 3 runs or fewer.
Well, they made it tight last night, and they hit some balls really hard late. As Duda went for strike 3.
Jerry Meals was obligated to call that himself without asking for help. The Fowler at bat.
He got it right.
Well executed 2-strike breaking ball.
The shortstop Wilmer Flores, who also homered last night, his 4th. That leads the team. Nice symmetry. Signed with the Mets on his 16th birthday. Made his major league debut on his 22nd birthday. Can you imagine signing with a big league club the day you turn 16? Yeah.
Yeah, so you go get your driver's permit and sign your contract the same day. And Wilmer's got a little more pop than I gave him credit for last night, too. It's a decent home run seasons as a minor leaguer.
Gets under this one. Castro calling off Coghlan. And 2 outs. Here comes Kirk Neuenhuis. As I mentioned, he's in for Juan Lagares. Slight strain near his right underarm area. I guess it happened on a diving catch last week. Had been bugging him, so he's out of their lineup tonight and hopes to be back tomorrow, but it's not a guarantee. Neuenhuis just 3 for 27.
I was just going to point out Neuenhuis, Plawecki, and Syndergaard in order in the batting order is a pretty good spelling bee.
It's a lot of letters. Neuenhuis says what, 11 letters, something like that.
N-I-E-U-W-E-N-H-U-I-S. I'm reading it. I'm having a hard time spelling it.
And this time they appealed, and Andy Fletcher said he went 2-1.
Say that backwards, Harry.
I'm not sure I could.
Ooh, good try. Backdoor cutter. A lot of swing and miss in NYN Heiss's game. High strikeout rate. Limited playing time this year.
He was good last year in 61 games. Put up a 259, 346, 482 slash line. Here comes his 3-2, and it's hit to deep right. Soler will make the grab right in front of the warning track. He's faced the minimum through 2. Just a walk, but got that double play in the first.
Wrigley Field. The Cubs have 2 more against the Mets, and then the Pirates are in for the weekend. Tickets are still available for every game. Get your tickets at Cubs.com.
Scoreless ball game as the Cubs will bat here in the second. T-Mobile Game Changers. We've got some interesting anniversaries. A 90th anniversary of the birth of one of the all-time greats, Yogi Berra. Happy 90th, Yogi. 1955, Sam Toothpick Jones threw a no-hitter in this ballpark for the Cubs against the Pittsburgh Pirates. And Mr. Cub Ernie Banks, 45 years ago today, hit home run number 500. As the great Pat Hughes pointed out, Yogi would have been 45 the day Ernie hit number 500.
Good math, Pat.
Yep. So Miguel Montero leading off for the Cubs. A 7-pitch opening inning for the young right-hander Syndergaard.
Yogi played a few games for the Mets and then went on to manage the Mets. Managed them in the '73 World Series.
Comes the 0-1. There's a changeup that got away from Syndergaard. He is the 6th New York Met already this year to make his major league debut. It's only May 12th. On the ground to first, it's Lucas Duda to make the play.
Well, opportunity with Dylan G going on the disabled list for Syndergaard to join this rotation. If he pitches the way he was pitching down in AAA, he'll likely stay in this rotation. High upside guy, really showing polish over the last year or so. Maturing. He's been on quite a roll.
Soler fouls into the upper deck. Now, Syndergaard has made some headlines this year for reasons I think he'd rather not have. He was chided by David Wright during spring training for eating lunch in the clubhouse while his teammates were playing an intra-squad game. There's a little flare into right for the first hit of this ball game. Captain said, "You got to be on the bench." And I think the worst part of it, JD, was that the media heard it. So the New York media hears that and gets really blown up.
It becomes Lunchgate. It becomes a big scandal. I mean, it happens here too. Little things get blown out of proportion.
Then in April, Syndergaard replied in an ill-advised fashion to some tweets questioning him after he missed a start due to being under the weather. The tone was not very jovial. One 1-0 on Starlin Castro. Runner at first, one away. Foul. Syndergaard was not so great at AAA last year, but much better this season, and some believe one of the reasons is left-hander Steven Matz. I think added a little competition at Las Vegas, maybe pushed him a little bit. In the dirt, that gets away from Plawecki on a wild pitch.
One thing the Cubs may be able to do tonight is do a little running against Syndergaard. Big right-hander, not particularly quick to home. I suspect Joe Madden would turn some of his guys loose. That's a wild pitch and an RBI opportunity for Castro now. In his last 3 starts in AAA Vegas, he allowed 2 runs on 11 hits in 22 innings, struck out 27, walked 2. So they're calling up a guy who not only has great stuff, but had been on a very good roll down there. And PCL, it's a tough league to pitch in. Not unheard of to see pitchers come up to the big leagues and actually put up better numbers here than they did there.
2-2 on Castro. Has been struggling at the plate, but a game-saving diving catch in the 9th last night as he strikes out. But a tough go for Starlin as of late. He's now 6 for his last 41 with that punch-out.
Yeah, he had some at-bats in Milwaukee where he was staying on the ball a little bit better, starting to show signs of coming out of it, but we've seen a lot of this where just kind of lunging at the ball, leaking, pulling that front side way out. Like he's cheating on inside fastballs and just throwing him a ton of breaking pitches.
He will intentionally walk Chris Coghlan with the pitcher Arrieta on deck and first base open. So we saw this last night. First time through the Cubs order, David Ross in the first inning was intentionally walked to get to John Lester.
Yeah, and that was with Jacob deGrom was scuffling a little bit, had given up 3 runs. This, I think, is just in deference to the cold weather, the fact that Jake Arrieta is pitching, and this is Syndergaard's very first start. So Terry Collins giving him every chance to get cleanly through this second inning. On a night where 1 or 2 runs might be all you need if Arrieta's on top of his game. For me, the intentional walk this early in the game is always a questionable strategy, but given that set of circumstances, understandable.
So Jake looking for his first hit this season. He did hit a home run in spring training. 0 for 13 with 8 strikeouts. And he'll bat with runners at first and second and 2 outs.
Look at Jake. No sleeves, no gloves.
He's a tough Texan.
This is old school, man. This is different. A $2 steak. And well, these guys, Syndergaard's from Mansfield, Texas, which was in the Fort Worth area, so they're kind of homeboys.
Good swing. 0-2. struck him out on a breaking ball to end the inning. 3 strikeouts for Syndergaard through 2 in a 0-0 tie.
Sunday night, it's an all-new episode of Beer Money. Presented by Coors Light. Watch fans test their sports trivia knowledge as they try to win big. Sunday at 7 on CSN Chicago. This is Beer Money. They must be playing mound ball or something.
We start the third. Bottom 3 in the Mets order, and that includes a pitcher batting 8th tonight. So both teams hitting their pitcher 8th. Mets doing it for the 2nd time this season. Joe Maddon has hit his pitcher 8th in every game to this point. Ball 1 on Kevin Plawecki. So I mentioned Sam Jones with the no-hitter here at Wrigley Field on this date in 1955. Fewer than 3,000 fans were here. He had walked the bases loaded. And he ended up striking out Dick Groat, Roberto Clemente, and Frank Thomas.
Yeah, that's getting it done the hard way, isn't it? Walk the bases loaded and then strike him out, but it kind of defines who he was as a pitcher.
Yep. Bounce to third. Bryant's up with it, and he gets him 3 times. Sam Toothpick Jones led the National League in both strikeouts and walks, and nearly did it 4 times. First African American big leaguer to throw a no-hitter. Jones passed away for cancer in 1971. Led the National League in ERA in 1959.
Yeah, finished 2nd in Cy Young and the Cy Young Award voting that year, and that's back when there was only one. It wasn't a separate Cy Young Award for each league.
So he was the National League Pitcher of the Year.
Yeah. Early Win was the Cy Young Award winner. Sam actually had a better year when you look at the numbers. Early Win was on a winning team. The White Sox won 94 games that year.
He always chewed on a toothpick. Known as Toothpick Sam.
That's why I was known as Hot Turkey Sandwich DeShays. So before UL Washington and Dusty Baker, there was Sam Jones.
1-2 to Syndergaard, and he strikes out. He was 5 for 11 with 2 doubles and a homer at AAA Las Vegas, but Jake Arrieta strikes him out. All right, so he was here. So if I get that right, he had that shirt and Ernie said, "I want it."
That's what it looks like. Yeah, he had a shirt. Yeah.
I like it. Ruben Tejada starting at second tonight.
So this is the Jake Arrieta we're used to. Chance to get cleanly through these first 3 innings with that double play ball in the first.
Downstairs, 1 ball, 1 strike. Tejada from Santiago, Veraguas, Panama. So the trivia question of the night: how many Hall of Famers were born in Panama? It's a bit of a trick question.
Rod Carew, I don't believe, was born in Panama, right? I don't think there's some debate about Rod Carew. Is he considered a Panamanian?
Yes. The answer is 1.
Rod Carew?
Rod Carew. But Mariano Rivera is a first ballot shoo-in, so there'll be 2 in about, what, 3 years?
Carlos Lee was from Panama. El Caballo.
Ben Ogilvy, Bruce Chen, born in Panama. Bruce Chen is still pitching.
Yeah,
he's only 37.
I know, he came up at a young age. Yeah. He's had a very interesting career.
Foul past Tim Tuffle at third.
Those good reflexes that served him well as an infielder back in the day. Help him out here. Back in the day, he was trying to catch the ball, and now it's all about trying to avoid the ball. High cheddar.
Couldn't get him to offer at it. Granderson on deck.
Oh, my. John Lester pitched for the Cubs last night, and he had a tough night with Andy Fletcher, the home plate umpire, kind of going back and forth here. Arrieta thought he had the outside corner, but apparently just a little bit off.
Fowler in center, and that will end the inning. Let's go back to 1970, 45 years ago today.
That's a fly ball, beat the left, back, that's it, hey, he did it, Ernie Banks got number 500, a line drive shot into the seats and left, the ball tossed in the bullpen, everybody on your feet, this is it. Whee!
Pirates at 3:05 in the first. 20,000 fans in attendance will get a reusable tote bag presented by the MLB Network. For more info or to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com. Addison Russell fouls. Underway here in the Cubs' third.
Well, these guys would have faced each other in the PCL.
I was talking with Matt Caesar, who faced Syndergaard. It's a good curveball. 0-2. Okay, so what was the line if Syndergaard wins? You had the tabloid headline.
Cinder great.
Cinder great.
Right.
So if he gets sent back to AAA, it'll be Cinder gone. Come up with all kinds of Wonder Guard.
Cinder Grand.
It's towards center, but it'll be cut off by Flores. He throws him out.
Nice play by Flores, staying low, working his way across the diamond. Nice fluid play to get Russell, who really runs well.
Fowler struck out in the first inning, but hot as of late after a recent cold stretch. 6 hits over his last 4 games, including 3 doubles and a home run and 3 walks.
And he's done a nice job as a table setter. 351 on base percentage when leading off an inning, and on base percentage of 380. He says Thor on his glove. That's his nickname.
Rising fastball, and all Fowler could do is just barely get a piece of it.
If you're a pitcher and your nickname's Thor, you got to throw hard, right? You couldn't be a guy out there throwing 88 miles an hour, change-ups and sinkers, and be Thor.
Ball to center. Neuenhuis makes the play. So the Mets have an interesting secondary logo, and I think they wear the Mr. Met logo on their cap during spring training, but they've got it on their left sleeve. And I just find it funny that the secondary logo is their mascot wearing a Mets uniform. You know, like the Cubs secondary logo is an actual bear with a C. Just a guy with a baseball for a head and a Mets jersey.
He's Mr. Met. Can hardly get a word out of him. Try to talk to him.
Close, and Bryant with an infield hit. The league still has not figured him out. Half the Mets team was halfway off the field, assuming that was a routine ground out.
Yeah, you just don't expect a 6'6" third baseman to get down the line like this, but sooner or later they're going to figure it out. And if he retreats a little bit, figures he's got a lot of time, kind of flips it across the diamond, and Bryant at the wire. Long stride to the front of the bag to beat it.
So that gives Rizzo an opportunity here. Runner on with 2 outs. Ball 1. So the hat has a. Okay. How many caps have an actual cap as part of the logo on the cap?
We got into this last year. I can't remember what the circumstance was, because there's a name for that.
Was it the Oriole?
I think it was the
Orioles.
Orioles.
The logo has the cap on the logo on the cap. On the cap.
Brain is going to explode.
Well, the hustle of Chris Bryant extended the inning, and now Syndergaard is behind the count. The guy who has 5 homers in his last 10 games.
Ready to hit that heater.
3-0.
2-0 change up there. Didn't want to give in to Rizzo. And we talked about this a little bit last night. This is a big responsibility for this young catcher, Plawecki, the rookie, catching all these young pitchers. Normally, if you have a real young catcher, you hope to have a veteran pitching staff that could kind of lead the way. They do when Bartolo pitches. He throws the same pitch all the time anyway. It's a fastball. It's either going to go this way or that way. They really like this kid's makeup.
Well, a 2-out rally now.
Dickie Scott, the farm director for the Mets, and their development people have done a real nice job with Plawecki and some of these young guys, getting them ready. Are they ready for prime time? Will they be able to hang in there all season long? That question is what exists for both these teams. It'll be fun to watch it play out.
I just got a tweet. Can we put a cap on the conversation about caps having caps with caps on?
Caps for sale.
I think we can end it. My head's starting to hurt. Ball 1 to Montero.
And, you see it with a lot of pitchers, and there you go.
Still got the old Tiger on it.
Syndergaard getting a little defensive here. He thought he was out of the inning. Bryant, hustle play, beats it at first base. Tiptoed around Rizzo. Doesn't want to make a big mistake. Great stuff, but understandable that a young pitcher would start to doubt it a little bit in his first major league start. Didn't have to be.
There's 6 straight misses. 2-1.
I think Joe thought that ball was out of the strike zone.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
Selectively aggressive. Right here, 3-1. Be ready to hit. How about that? 3-1 changeup from the kid. That's pretty impressive.
Well, that does kind of separate the good or the mediocre from the potentially great, and I think this is why he's one of MLB's top prospects.
Yeah, the scouting report I read on him was power fastball, upper 90s, good hook, developing change. Well, obviously he's gaining confidence in that changeup.
Runners take off on 3-2, and it misses. Ball 4. Dan Warthen will come out.
Here's a fun little factoid for you. According to the Elias Sports Bureau, Syndergaard will be the 42nd pitcher, he now is, to make his big league debut as a visiting starter here at Wrigley Field. Of the previous 41, only 4 earned a win. If you know the answer to this, you're a genius, or you've already read this note. Johnny Beasley with the 41 Cardinals, Stu Miller with the 52 Cardinals, Andy Rincon with the 1980 Cardinals, and Brett Myers with the Phillies in 02.
Or AT&T U-verse multiview. Base is full. Curve strike on Soler. The other interesting note, their last 5 major league debuts in terms of starting pitchers for the Mets, a collective 115 in those outings. Back-to-back curveballs. So it's 0-2.
Pitching to the game plan right there. Throw Soler many fastballs in the zone. Yeah, you got to be careful. But you throw that 2-strike breaking ball in the zone, you're asking for trouble too. You'll get him to expand to chase that pitch down and away, but if you leave it in the zone, it could inflict some serious damage.
This will be pitch number 50. He's had to labor here after the Bryant hit.
Good matchup, huh? 97 miles an hour. Big swing by Soler, just didn't quite get the head out. Pitch right down the middle. 97 with action. Tough to handle.
Blocked by Plawecki. 1-2.
Now, one of the things that defines the Cubs lineup this year has been their patient approach. They see a lot of pitches. They make starting pitchers work awfully hard. That allows them to get into the middle relief. Try to exploit that. Syndergaard now at 51 pitches. 2 outs here in the third.
Two and 2. Noah Syndergaard's parents are here at the ball game tonight, and they look a little nervous right now as their son's trying to get out of a major jam. First call when he got the call up was to his mom. 3-2, and everybody's going to hold.
Soler showing some discipline, laying off those previous sliders, so they tried changeup, didn't want to hang it, so threw a scud up there, and see what Plawecki calls here on 3-2.
The 30th pitch of this inning on the way. Runners go. Fly ball to right, and this is going to get him out of it. Granderson has it, and Syndergaard escapes. But they made him work very hard to do it.
out to face the Mets the second time around, and I had a chance to catch up with Miguel Montero, who's behind the plate tonight, and ask him a little bit about Arrieta, and he says the phrase he likes to use with him is come to pitch. When he does that, he is dominating. He says guys that have such great stuff sometimes rely just too much on the stuff and not that and the game plan, and he kind of felt like the last few times out for Arrieta, he maybe relied a bit too much on the stuff, and he said it was execution. He had the velocity, he had the movement, he just was pitching right over the middle of the plate, and tonight it looks like, guys, Arrieta has come to pitch.
Thank you, Kelly. Still scoreless here as we get into the fourth. Curve strike.
Well, yeah, you know, he was a little wobbly with his command the first couple of hitters of the game. He got the double play ball, and since then he hasn't looked back. And that's the nature of this game. Sometimes if you get beat around a little bit early, you lose confidence. You start to work out of the zone. He got out of that. It's hard to call it a mess. It was a leadoff walk, but he just didn't have good command first couple of hitters of this game. Since then, he has been the Arrieta we're used to seeing.
Sinker is too low on Granderson. Southside Chicago native, went to Thornton Fractional South High School, and then UIC. Rooted for the Sox growing up, but didn't necessarily root against the Cubs.
Patient hitter, a dangerous hitter, three-time All-Star. Really exploited that short porch at Yankee Stadium. A couple 40 home run seasons there. There's that good eye.
He has walked all 3 plate appearances so far in this series. Well, the first time Arrieta walked Granderson, he got the Murphy double play ball. Let's see if he can do it again.
See if that convinces Terry Collins to start Granderson at some point in this at bat.
Wide for ball 1. Murphy heating up a bit, hitting over 300 his last 14 games. With his season average at 222, I can't imagine it'll stay that way. He's a career 287 hitter. One and one.
Anderson has stolen 2 bases this year in 3 tries. Mets don't run much at all. Well, I shouldn't say they don't run. They run a lot. It's the nature of the game. You have to run. They don't steal a lot of bases. Well, this would be a good count to put a play on, wouldn't it? 2 balls, 1 strike. Murphy, a good contact guy.
Not running. And bounced past Bryant, who was playing off the line at third. Granderson to third. And he ran right into an out. Coughlin nails him. Boy, that's big. Would have been first and second with no outs.
Yeah, Boyd, you're right. You can't pin that one on the base coach. That was right in front of Curtis Granderson. An overly aggressive try here with nobody out. And great hustle by Coughlin, closing in a hurry, and flips it to Bryant right on the money for the tag.
We're 7-5. As they get the lead man at third. Ball 1 on Kadire. outside, almost hit him. Dyer was a first-round pick back in 1997, 9th overall by the Twins out of Chesapeake, Virginia. Two and one. Murphy the runner at first. Here it is. Back to Arrieta. Castro. Rizzo. They turn it. And the inning comes to an end. Murphy with the Mets' first hit off Arrieta, but he has still faced the minimum through 4. Long on Comcast Sportsnet, brought to you by Nationwide agent Jeff Vukovich. Visit Jeff at jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side. Chat with Patrick on Thursday before the series finale. "54 degrees as we got started. Probably end up in the mid to upper 40s by the time we're finished.
Yeah, it probably feels a lot colder than that down on the field too, with that wind gusting the way it is. Not bothering that young guy. Some short sleeves.
Castro, Coghlan, and Arrieta. A couple of big base running plays here in this one. Bryant beating out the infield hit to force Syndergaard to make a boatload of extra pitches in the 3rd inning, and then Granderson running into an out at 3rd, kind of extinguishing the Mets rally in the top of this 4th.
Yeah, the hustle by Bryant and the ensuing pitches for Syndergaard may ultimately cost him an inning here tonight. We'll see, unless he can have a very efficient one here and get back on track.
Two to Castro. Easy fly ball out into left center. Dyer hauls it in, 1 out. Matt Carpenter back with the Cardinals and in their lineup tonight, and they lead at Cleveland 5-3 in the top of the 8th. Carpenter 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run. Saw the quotes from him. The AP story said you hate missing games, but you got to do what you're told and listen to your body. Said fatigue is the best way to describe it. He missed that weekend series in Pittsburgh. My body wasn't working on all cylinders. I just did not feel good. I think it was self-inflicted. Driven the other way, diving grab by Kadire to Rob Coughlin.
Coughlin shaking his head. He's hit into a fair bit of bad luck this year. Kadire makes a nice play. If it gets by him, Coughlin's probably going to end up on third base.
So with 2 outs, it's Arrieta. He struck out his first time up. Matt Harvey will go tomorrow night for the Mets.
Jason Hamill for the Cubs.
Lefties on Thursday, Neese and Wood. Called strike 3. We've played 4, still without a run from Wrigley Field.
Cavs flip over to CSN and CSNChicago.com immediately following the game for Bulls Postgame Live. Get instant reaction from Mark and Will, highlights, postgame interviews, and more after every Chicago basketball playoff game on CSN.
Bleachers are open.
They have made their debut. The enhanced bleachers will have a new look. They have a new feel. They have additional amenities. They're really, really cool. Tickets are on sale now. Visit Cubs.com/bleachers to buy tickets and learn more about the new spaces and concessions as they become available over the next few months.
Not quite as color coordinated with the outfits as they were last night. Pink out. Fight against breast cancer, but everybody bundled up in this cool evening. It's Lucas Duda. This is Jake Arrieta, and a fastball on the outside corner as we start the 5th. His first major league hit was in this ballpark off Randy Wells on September 3rd of 2010. He had debuted 2 days earlier in Atlanta, product of USC. Hey, I wanted to mention this. Did you see the story about Julio Franco? You know, he's still playing.
I did not know that.
56 years old. He's in Japan in a semi-pro league, the Ishikawa Million Stars. He's a player manager. The story is a couple of days old, but he's hitting .333.
There's a shocker. It's a, what kind of a league is it? The
Semi-pro Baseball Challenge League is the name of the league. Baseball Challenge League. Swing and a miss for strike 3. Julio said he wants to play until he's 66. He was 49 when he played his last major league game. When did you start your pro career? What year?
82.
It's the same year Franco did too.
Well, some of us just know when to give up. Speaking of Iron Man, there's one a couple booths down tonight. Jim Cott is in the house doing the game for the Major League Baseball Network. Kitty played from 1959 to 1983. 4 decades. Multiple all-star teams.
Yeah, he's working with a new guy there sitting down. I can't remember his name. High fly out into center. Off the bat of Wilmer Flores, and it's caught by Fowler. Bob Costas, who called one of the iconic games in regular season history in this ballpark. That was the Ryne Sandberg game, 1984, June 23rd. Rhino hit 2 big home runs off Bruce Sutter. Outside on Neuenhuis.
Jim Cott won 283 games in his major league career. A slew of Gold Gloves. 16 of them to be precise.
I'm sure Bob has dropped that line on a few people this year. You know, my partner and I have combined for 283 career wins. 1-1 is on the outside corner. Only 3 hits in this ball game. The Cubs have 2 of them. All 3 have been singles.
There have been a few nights in this ballpark this year where we've thought, well, this is going to be a pitcher's night. It's cold, it's windy, tough environment for the hitters, and kind of fooled us. And some points put on the board, but so far tonight is proving to be just what we expected. The talented right-handers on the mound and tough hitting conditions, and we've got 0-0 in the 5th.
Swing, and he just nicked it.
I ticked it. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. Just gonna have that fight all the time on the playground. That curveball right out from that. I'm gonna go cutter under the hands. That worked.
And he got him. 33 years after his pro debut, Julio Franco still playing a kid's game at 56. Cap, thanks. The Nuveen Investment Suites can accommodate anywhere from 15 to 55 guests and include food. Well, you can drink beverages and parking. To book your premier experience at the ballpark, visit Cubs.com/suites. Strike one on Addison Russell. The battle of rookies here. Syndergaard and Russell. 22 versus 21. Pop up near first, just into foul ground is Duda. Hey, Eddie Vedder's here tonight. He's going to sing the stretch.
Yeah.
So a charity concert coming up with Pete Townsend of The Who on Thursday night. Benefit concert for Teen Cancer America at the Rosemont Theater. A lot of life on that fastball.
Yeah, it's interesting. He's got kind of a short stroke. You look at his delivery. You know, he's a big, tall guy, but he's got a bit of a short arm delivery. Probably adds a little deception too. Watch how tight the arc is when he takes it back. Contrast it with Jake Arrieta when you see him out there next inning. He's got a much longer arm action.
Did you say maybe a little Wade Miller like?
Wow, a little Wade. It is a little Wade Miller.
Mark Gonzalez dropped that on me. We were watching video earlier, so I can't take credit for it. Fly to left. That's Kadire. So 2 outs, and now Chris Bryant, who's 1 for 2.
After that laborious third caused by Bryant's speed, Syndergaard has settled in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 quick outs here in the 5th, so the pitch count less of an issue now than we thought it might be as he worked his way through that 3rd inning.
Bryant and Syndergaard played together in the Futures game last year. They're now playing in the present game, I guess.
Yeah. Now they're in the show.
2-0 on the way. Fastball into the right field corner. It's deep, and it bangs off the wall. Bryant on his way to third. And he's in head first with a triple.
He's had 3 good at-bats tonight. He lined out to center first time. Infield hit with the speed last time. And here a 2-out triple. Again, it's you got to make sure you can make it, and he did. And this is the freakish strength of Chris Bryant. Giancarlo Stanton-like with that opposite field carry on a line drive all the way to the wall. The ball just does not follow a normal trajectory off of his bat.
Yeah, it's a great point. I thought that ball was going to bounce off the warning track, and he missed a home run by about 2 or 3 feet.
Yeah, you see the ball hit the other way, and, you know, on that kind of a launch angle, you think there's no way that's going to carry to the wall.
So he's got his first career triple. It does come with 2 outs. Here's Rizzo. Ball 1.
They were very, very cautious with Rizzo last time. Ended up walking him and then walked Montero behind him. Got 98 with that one.
One ball, 1 strike. Here it comes. Look out. Just doesn't seem to be any anxiety whatsoever during an Anthony Rizzo at bat. He has no problem whatsoever sitting on a pitch. Say, nope, I don't want that one. Ball 4.
Yeah, if there was a stat quality at bat ratio, he'd be among the league leaders. Just very disciplined, has a real good idea what he's trying to do when he's up there.
Yeah, I hate to keep making the Joey Votto a comparison, but the body language during the plate appearances just kind of, you can just see the amount of confidence and game plan that he has.
It's frustrating for a pitcher when you've got a hitter who you think is looking for a fastball and you throw him a changeup with pretty good action, and he doesn't even flinch. He doesn't even start like he's at least a little bit fooled by it.
Wide to Montero. Ground out in the second, a walk in the third. Red hot here over the last couple of weeks. He did his average up near 300 right now, 294. Now 2-1.
He's got an on-base plus slugging up over 900.
push that first run across the plate.
925 OPS for Montero, second best among all catchers in the National League.
Swing and a miss. Syndergaard works out of another jam. It was this part of the order that gave him problems back in the third. 0-0 after 5. Our Xfinity high-speed action. Some base running tonight. Chris Bryant beating out an infield hit. That was with 2 outs in the third inning. And then Bryant with the tag as Curtis Granderson tried for the extra base. As the Mets had a rally end before it could really start. And someone just tweeted me he's respecting 270 on the triple.
90. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, and that's one of those things, the old adage, right? You don't want to make the first or third out at third base. If you're going to go for it in those situations, you got to make sure you're going to be safe. Bryant felt pretty comfortable he was going to be safe. I'm sure Granderson did too. Proved to be otherwise for Granderson, and just can't afford to make that base running mistake in that situation.
Arrieta's 0-1. A little low. Every guy has his little thing he does between pitches. Notice Jake holds the ball in his right hand. With the ball in his hand, he normally adjusts his cap before he gets ready to work. Okay, now watch. Ball in the hand. Gonna grab the bill. Yep. Adjustment of the jersey, tug on the pants, adjust the cap again, and here we go. I'm guessing he doesn't even know he does it.
Yeah, you're right.
2-2.
He may not, but it also may be something that he's built into his routine, just as making sure he takes a little time. Just a little reminder every time I touch my hand, I tell myself to stay back. One mental cue, perhaps.
Got him on a curveball. Strike 3 called. Number 6 for Jake.
Cubs Authentics is the premier outlet for all MLB authenticated game used and autographed Cubs memorabilia. Visit Cubs.com/authentics for more information and to bid on weekly auction items, including game used baseballs, jerseys, bases, and more. The Cubs will donate net proceeds from the sale of Cubs Authentics to Cubs charities. Yeah, now you're dead on with Jake here. That routine, he doesn't really stray from it at all.
Nope.
There goes to the hat there after the pitch, to the belt. Ball in hand, to the hat, to the rubber.
got to treat Syndergaard like he's a hitter, not a pitcher. Career .270 in the minor leagues.
3 out of 4 in his last start down there with a double and a home run. Read a good story somewhere today about baseball and mental training that has become widespread throughout the game. Focused a lot on Bob Tewksbury and his work with the Red Sox. Talked about Ken Ravizza here with the Cubs, who have got a long-standing relationship with Joe Madden. Players of this generation much more willing to embrace dealing with sports psychology.
Yeah, I read the same article.
Isn't that a good article?
Yep.
Not just mind over matter stuff, but drills for concentration and focus.
Tejada in the 9 spot. He lined to center his first time up. Arrieta has faced the minimum. He gave up a single to Murphy in the 4th. He's walked 2, so 3 guys have reached, but a couple of double play balls. Getting him out of innings.
Yeah, Granderson thrown out trying to go first to third on that base hit, and then 2 double plays.
On the ground to Bryant. Inning over. Arrieta cruising along tonight, but it's a tie ball game. Neither team has scored yet. Kids Sundays are back here at Wrigley Field this Sunday, May 17th. At the conclusion of the game, the first 1,000 kids 13 and younger with wristbands will be allowed on the field to run the bases, weather permitting. For more info on this program, visit Cubs.com/Sundays. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Syndergaard against Soler in a scoreless tie. We've reached the bottom of the 6th without a run.
Did you just reference something that I should know about?
No.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday?
Kids run the bases on Sunday.
Oh, I thought it was like that you were alluding perhaps to a movie or something. I should have been in the know about it.
No, it was kind of that,
Sunday, Sunday.
Yeah, the radio commercial bit. Kids run the bases free. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Syndergaard.
I ducked on that one.
His reaction was priceless. Like his heart skipped a few beats. Soler absolutely smoked it. His line drive percentage, 37%. Well above major league average. Syndergaard going, maybe next time.
Yeah, throw it in there hard. He's going to hit it hard. He has struggled with breaking balls, but he has mashed the heater.
He is 2 out of 3 tonight. And now it's Castro. See if the Cubs get something cooking here. Best chance they had, the best chances they've had have come with 2 outs. One ball, 1 strike. Cardinals get Matt Carpenter back, and they won. 8-3 the final in Cleveland. 6 shutout innings from Lance Lynn on his birthday. Line foul.
Castro hits the ball on the ground. Really more than any other player in the National League when you look at his ground ball rate. You're always worried about the ground ball double play, but Syndergaard with that power pitching profile looks like the guy is going to get a lot of outs, a lot of swings and misses, a lot of outs in the air. If there were a sinker baller on the mound, Joe Madden would have had a play on by now, would have had Soler in motion.
Oh, Scott Miller, Bleacher Report.
Scott Miller, yes.
He wrote the piece you were referring to.
Good piece. Yeah, good story.
Yeah, Scott's great.
And the other thing he dug into was the Giants hiring like a sleep consultant and how they changed their travel plans because of it. Like in the postseason, instead of traveling after the game, they'd spend the night, get up in the morning, and travel on the travel day. Whereas most clubs would go right after the game and go home and then spend the entire off day at home. But they based on this expert that they hired, the studies that they've done, they found that it was healthier to spend the night and travel the next day. And if you do that, you win the World Series. That's all there is to it.
Apparently, that ball is fair into the left field corner. Soler around second on his way to third. And now to the plate, and he's going to score, and the Cubs lead 1-0 on a double by Castro.
After much thought and conversation, they decide on a pitch for Castro, and it didn't work out. It was a breaking ball, I'm guessing intended to be off the outside corner, and that one really backed up on Syndergaard, and Castro made him pay. He has not made many mistakes out over the plate with the breaking ball tonight. Soler picked on a fastball. Castro got a hanging breaking ball, and the Cubs have a 1-run lead.
And still nobody out. Coughlin, the hitter. Dan Warthen, the pitching coach, out with the entire infield on the mound. So Coughlin goes and chats briefly with the third base coach, Gary Jones. Boy, nice to grab a lead here. For this reason, the pitcher spot's due up after Coughlin. That's Jake Arrieta. And 87 pitches in, 6 innings for Arrieta. He's been as good as we've seen him all year. That makes the decision a little easier to let him take the at bat. There's Alex Torres, a lefty, and you see that new padded cap that actually is a normal cap with the padding on the outside of the cap. Some added protection, which Syndergaard nearly needed. The Soler base hit. Ball 1. And I'm not willing to say Joe would have taken Arrieta out even if we were tied and the bases were loaded, but grabbing the lead generally makes that point completely moot.
Yeah. And it also changes Coughlin's job description in this at bat. If they were going to hit for Arrieta, you tell Coughlin if you feel comfortable trying to get a bunt down or whatever you need to do to get that man to third base in this situation, go ahead and do it. But with Arrieta taking the at bat for sure next, it's go ahead and try to drive this run in. Especially with a guy on the mound like Syndergaard with strikeout stuff. Kind of a finesse guy out there, and you felt comfortable that Arrieta put the ball in play. You could play it that way. You could say, go ahead and make sure you get him over to third here. Give yourself up if need be to advance him. And that's in that scenario would pull the infield in. And it's a soft tosser. Arrieta would have a much better chance of putting it in play than he does against Syndergaard.
Driven deep to right. Granderson back. It is gone. It's a 2-run homer for Coughlin. And it's 3-0.
Well, after his last at bat, he was shaking his head as he headed back towards the home dugout. Kadire made a diving catch on a line drive to left field. This time, high fives and smiles for Coughlin as he gets his 4th home run of the year. There's your 4th home run replay. Fastball right out over the heart of the plate, and Coughlin delivers.
Well, he had 2 hits last night. Intentional walk, robbed of a hit in left on a nice catch by Kadire, and then this home run. So that's good to see. He's gotten off the interstate this week. He was in the 190s. So it's 3-0.
Well, we thought if there was a ball hit out of this ballpark tonight, it would be more likely to be in right than left when the wind is blowing.
Syndergaard's got to be right near the end. He just reached 100 pitches. He's trailing 3-0.
A lot of times you hit a wall in the middle innings, major league debut, a lot of adrenaline, kind of run on that for a while, and then that tank starts to run low. I think it speaks to the amount of confidence they have in him. There hasn't been that much bullpen activity behind him here tonight as he worked out of a couple of jams. Got into a bit of a mess there in the 3rd. Pitched out of that, pitched out of it in the 5th. Real good idea what he's doing out there. He's been very cautious with Rizzo. Clearly that was the game plan. It seemed to be anyway as you watch the way they pitched him.
It's out number 1, and that'll be it. Here comes Terry Collins, and he's going to the bullpen.
Are they here to root on Thor? The superheroes?
It's a Weber's Sauces and Seasonings call to the pen. Why grill with anything else? And it's lefty Alex Torres. He made headlines last year. He was the first pitcher to wear the padded cap. That had the padding on the inside. They have changed it this year, try to make it a little more comfortable and more accepted. The biggest thing is just people getting used to what it looks like. It's obviously more about function than fashion.
Yeah, absolutely.
The idea is to protect that skull.
Yeah. Well, you saw those splits for Torres. He's got an outstanding changeup and very good against right-handed hitters because of it. Fastball about 92. Slider, but changeup probably his best pitch. He works from the extreme third base side of the rubber.
1 out, nobody on, 3 runs in. And Russell fouls. Why is Torres wearing it, you ask? Well, he was a teammate of Alex Cobb's in Tampa Bay a couple of years ago, and Cobb took a line drive off his head and it really stuck with Torres. Obviously, Joe Madden would remember that scary incident. The right field line, and that'll get out of play. I've read some comments from Torres. He didn't really love this model. He liked last year's better, but I think the idea was he's just going to keep wearing it until he just gets used to it. And that's like a lot of other things.
Yeah, well, it's really lightweight, right? Because if it's heavy, then that becomes a little bit of a problem. So. It's interesting, though, that it was watching somebody else get hit and not a comebacker, that he took himself. That was the motivation.
Yeah.
I had a teammate in the minor leagues who had gotten hit when he was in college. And I don't think he ever got over it, because when he pitched, after every delivery, he'd flinch his hand. He threw his hands up in front of his face.
Swing and a miss on that nasty change you mentioned.
So he's a lefty whose strengths are getting right-handed hitters out. It's a very valuable guy to have in your bullpen.
Yeah, it's interesting getting a lot of snarky tweets about the way it looks. And yeah, it looks very different than what people are used to. But I don't think he cares, and I give him a ton of credit.
Yeah, if enough guys were to adopt it, where it would become popular among the kids, right? If kids wore more protection out there, that would really be beneficial.
No doubt. One and one on Fowler. Here it comes. It'll get out of play.
And I'm as snarky as the next guy. The first time I saw it, I called him Mr. Kazoo.
Right.
And but that's and I'm sure he gets it from his teammates and other guys, but he doesn't care. He's just.
Well, here's the thing. It's one thing to say, we're protecting people too much. Injuries are part of the game. That's one thing. To break your arm or take a shot off the hip. We know too much about head trauma. And that's not something you should be messing around with. He's taking it to heart. Not saying everybody should wear it.
Well, and it's not like we're changing any rules by him.
Nope.
By people wearing a padded hat. It's not like the sack rule in football or anything like that, where you're changing the nature of how the game is played.
Two to Fowler. Bryant on deck. We'll chat with Eddie Vedder coming up in the 7th. We'll sing the stretch tonight That's low.
Wanted that changeup. It took Milwaukee a little while to get there. Whoop.
Inning alive for Bryant.
And you know, this is a bit of a stretch to make this point, but it does happen sometimes as a pitcher when you're out there and you have a thought in your head of what you want to throw, and it takes the catcher a couple signs to get there. Sometimes you start to second guess it yourself, and then you don't make the pitch with conviction. You know, he wanted to throw that changeup. Milwaukee asked for fastball away and then a fastball in before finally coming around to the changeup.
Big lead by Fowler and almost forcing a throw by Torres. That was Fowler trying to get a look at him, and that moved to first. Interesting you mentioned that the far third base side of the rubber. A little longer throw to first as a result. One and 0 on Bryant.
Used to be just about all left-handed pitchers work from the first base side of the rubber, and all righties from the third base side of the rubber. That's just about completely reversed now. With that great changeup, sometimes this is their MO, to get into a fastball count and then come with the changeup. Missed with a couple of heaters. Guys expecting fastball, and you come with a changeup.
Right on cue. It's 2-1.
Come with another one. You know, it's not like the changeup, because it's off the fastball, that's what makes the pitch so effective. A guy like Torres has such good arm action and such good action on that pitch. He could throw that as his primary weapon. It doesn't have to be a quote-unquote secondary pitch for him. He could throw a lot more than he does already. Fastball becomes the surprise pitch, slows you down with a changeup, and he's got good life. That one was at 94.
Fowler will be going here with this pitch. 3-2, 2 outs. Cubs have scored 3 times here in this inning, all off the starter Syndergaard. RBI double by Castro, 2-run homer Chris Coghlan. There he goes. Here it is, and we'll do it again. All in all, I think Terry Collins and the Mets will be very pleased with Syndergaard's major league debut. He didn't finish 6th. The stuff was really good. He looks the part.
Syndergaard joining Harvey, Zach Wheeler, Jacob deGrom, all these young, talented pitchers. Reminiscent of Isringhausen and Pulsifer and Paul Wilson in that group a few years back. You see how it pans out for this group over the long haul.
Another 3-2. And another walk.
Tonight, Chris Bryant has had 4 outstanding plate appearances. Line out, single, triple, and accepting the walk here. Going after that 3-2 changeup. And Torres didn't make his pitch, he left it up.
Saw Gil Martin last night starting to play catch in the Mets bullpen. Rizzo on 2 more times tonight via the walk. Really hugging the plate against the lefty. Over but low. So Fowler, he drew the walk batting right-handed against the lefty Torres. The only time you usually see a switch hitter not make the switch is against a knuckleballer. Occasionally hit right-handed against an R.A. Dickey. How good a changeup would it take for Fowler to consider batting left-handed?
Yeah, and it would probably be the changeup in combination with the other stuff. Seen some guys. I saw Carl Everett do it years ago against, let's say, Steve Avery. Stood in there left-handed against the lefty. Maybe even Tom Glavine. It's easier to do if the guy doesn't have a put-away breaking ball.
Three and one. Well, this has been a fun inning offensively. They are grinding out these at bats. Coughlin the big blow. A 2-run homer after Castro had given the Cubs the lead. And they are loaded. 3 straight walks. That'll be it for Torres, it appears. No, it'll be Dan Worthing, not the manager yet. So quit walking, people.
Dan's got a big smile on his face as he talks to his left-hander trying to work out of this big jam. Put everybody at ease. Said, we're good here. We're good. Just do your thing.
Lefty versus lefty with the bases loaded and a strike on a fastball. Reds got a run to the bottom of the 9th and beat the Braves 4-3. Pinch hit RBI double. Devin Mesoraco, the game winner. Detroit just beat Minnesota 2-1 in 10. Ian Kinsler won it with a single. Pirates dumped the Phillies 7-2. Andrew McCutchen A couple of hits, including a home run. Big swing by Montero, 1-2. Actually, the Pirates got home runs from two guys they really need to get it going. McCutchen and Josh Harrison. He's hitting in the 170s.
Yeah. McCutchen 2 out of 4 tonight. Just 229, but showing signs of life. Somebody will have to pay sooner or later. Get on a roll.
Torres with a 1-2. On the ground, backhanded by Duda. He drops it. Cubs get a run. Fowler's in. Bases still loaded. Inning continues. RBI infield hit for Montero.
Duda trying to make a play on the backhand side. Initially gets it, but as he tries to make the transfer to the throwing hand, cannot secure the ball. That was going to be a very difficult play anyway.
Soler started this rally with a leadoff single. Change up low. Gary Jones was thinking about sending Bryant. That ball got away from Duda. Yeah, he was sending him. And Bryant decided to hit the brakes.
I think the send was in anticipation of Duda trying to make a throw back over to Torres covering first base. I think Brian did a good job reading the situation after the ball got away from Duda. Cubs running away with time of possession.
Are they ever? Torres didn't even start the inning, and he's made 30 pitches. Syndergaard faced 4. Torres now has faced 6. Cubs have batted around. Or they will have, depending on your theories. 3-1.
What was that now?
So the Cubs have batted around, or will have batted around after Soler completes his plate appearance. We're Switzerland on the batting around controversy. Fans on their feet. 3-1, bases full.
I want to hear a big noise.
Foul. That was a big noise.
Out in front of that changeup just a little bit. Pretty good chance he's going to get another one right here.
Well, the runners will be going with a pitch. If I were Chris Bryant, I'd be standing just about in the third base dugout as I took my lead here.
I'll take a wide angle. Right behind Gary Jones.
Runners go. 3-2, bounced foul. Another 3-2, swing and a miss. He got him on a fastball, which might be his changeup, so to speak, as JD mentioned. But they get 4. Half coming on the Coughlin homer. It's 4-0 after 6. Pete Townsend. That's a good week.
Play with Pete Townsend and help build a cancer ward here in Chicago for teenage cancer kids, so young adults. So it's good work and kind of magic at the same time.
Yeah, so we'll talk some baseball here, but let's talk about the event on Thursday. How did it come about? At the Rosemont Theater this Thursday night.
It's nice. It's a smaller venue. Now they're playing tomorrow at the Allstate Arena right across the street. So we'll be out there for tomorrow. And then the next night's a little bit more intimate. And there's some special guests. And Pete's been, he's so close with the Who. Chicago's been so great with the Who, and Chicago has so many great friends of Pete's. And people have been big parts of benefits over the years. So we're doing one last big one. And for just an incredible cause that they've done tons of work over in the UK, and now they're involved with like 15 hospitals here, and it's providing care for those teenage adolescent kids right in the middle that kind of deserve a different their survival rates and success rates and everything's improved greatly when they found out that if they didn't have to be with the older folks or the younger kids, because it's such a different reality for the adolescents.
It's a 1-1 to Granderson. It's outside for a ball. Well, it should be a great night.
Yeah, Joe Walsh will be there, and Joan Jett's going to play, and
wow.
They're in great form right now.
2-1 is off the plate inside. So you're going to play some Who songs? Are you going to do some other stuff or some surprises?
I think some surprises. We're working it out. It was a fun day back and forth of figuring out what we could do to keep it interesting. I think Pete's excited about that part, and Roger's thrilled that this is happening, and he's working really hard these days, and this would be 3 nights in a row, so they've asked me to take a little bit of the weight on some of the Who songs in the middle, but it's great to be with these guys.
Swing and a miss. Number 8 for Arrieta. He has faced the minimum and has allowed 1 hit tonight. All right, one more music question. I know you want to talk Cubs. Are you a Quadrophenia or Tommy guy? You got to pick one.
That's right. Well, as a younger adult, it was Tommy, but then through adolescence, for sure, it went into Quadrophenia big time, and it's never changed.
Can't go wrong in either, right?
It's really incredible, and when you sing those songs, you realize how difficult they are to sing. Roger makes it look easy, but and when you try to write a song that good, you realize how incredibly hard it is to write material with that kind of strength and continuity. These big orchestrated pieces that Pete really has mastered.
Well, they have stood the test of time, you know, and you listen to Who's Next and you think that could have been produced yesterday.
Yeah.
1970, what, 1 or 2?
That's
amazing.
right.
Nice pick by Chris Bryant. So 2 outs. We got to get you ready to sing here, Eddie, but everybody's excited about this young club. Who do you have your eye on in particular?
Well, Bryant's very exciting. Rizzo's been great. It was great to be watching him last year. It's just great to see the lineup starting to get so galvanized and see these guys, the camaraderie intensify, and to think that they're going to be together for a long time. And, you know, just a solid baseball, you know, the fact that they're taking so many pitches.
Yeah, you got a pretty solid approach.
All right, you ready to sing?
Time has gone too quickly.
Let's do it.
Here we go. Eddie Vedder coming up with the 7th inning stretch.
Tonight's guest conductor for Take Me Out to the Ball Game, lead singer of Pearl Jam, Eddie Vedder.
Hey, yo! All right, Chicago, help me out. 1, 2, 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I never get back, for it's root for. If they don't win, it's a shame, for it's one out at the old ball game. Thanks.
Chicago Tribune writer David Haw. It's the Cap and Haw Show, Chicago's only sports talk morning show on television. The Cap and Haw Show every morning at 9 on Comcast Sportsnet. Didn't mean to hog up the inning there. You know, it's funny. Eddie was on with Pat and Ron for about 45 minutes.
Oh, that's right.
So I think they went through his entire life. So tell us what happened in 1983, Eddie. And of course, we had a quick 1-2-3, which was good baseball-wise, as Arrieta continues to deal. He loves his Cubs.
Yeah.
We were talking off the air. He said he's only missed like 2 games all year.
Good stuff. And how about Arrieta after that long half inning, coming out and just being absolutely locked in the top of the 7th? That was very impressive.
Gil Martin to Castro, and he lines one out into deep left center, and it's going to get to the wall. Castro with the go-ahead double his last time up. Make it 2 doubles and 2 at-bats.
Martin looks like he tries to turn over a little changeup. Outer third, up above the knees. Castro stays through that ball, and again, he's so much better when he's focusing middle of the diamond.
Caesar will bat for Coghlan. Surrounded by Flores. Off balance throw, and he gets him. You have a favorite Who song?
No, not really.
Magic Bus, Pinball Wizard. You seem more like a can't explain kind of guy to me. Nothing? You got nothing?
I got nothing.
Okay.
Sing a few of them for me, and I'll let you know.
Oh, you don't recognize any yet?
Oh, yeah. Kidding me?
I'm a Who's Next guy. That whole record, I think that's like a perfect album. Quadrophenia. Yeah, it's all good.
I was more into the Why as opposed to the Who. Much more esoteric.
Yes. Who's on first debate?
While I respect the Who, I'm really into the Why.
If it weren't for that Daniel Murphy opposite field single, Marietta would be working on potential history here, as he's done a few times. As it is, he's faced the minimum through 7 innings. That's 21 hitters.
Yeah, and we talked about him in the open. We showed how in his last 2 starts nowhere near as good as he had been in his first 4. But if you watched those games, you knew the stuff was good. Strikeouts were still there. He wasn't walking people. Gave up some funky hits, and yes, he wasn't quite as sharp as he normally is, but there was nothing about either one of those starts that made you think, oh no, Marietta's going backwards. Just a little bump in the road for a guy who has become one of the better pitchers in all of baseball. Looks like he likes his changeup as well. Not a power guy. Polished pitcher coming out of college, Florida State. That's picked him up in the Rule 5 draft this winter. Former #1 pick of the Braves. From a baseball family. His dad, a couple of uncles, and a brother all played professionally.
Good location from the lefty on that one. Two balls, 2 strikes. Cubs lead 4-0 here in the 7th. All their runs in a masterfully executed 6th inning. 10 batters came to the plate. 4 hits, 3 walks, double, a home run. It's kind of a blueprint inning.
Yeah, it was like a long touchdown drive that started at your own 10-yard line. Grinding away.
Will Martin's 2-2. Slicing drive right field. Granderson's not going to get to it. It's going to go all the way into the corner. Castro scores. Russell has a double, and it's 5-0.
Russell had a big RBI hit in the middle innings of the ball game last night. Actually proved to be the game winner here. Just a little insurance in all likelihood. You never know. He might mount a comeback, but a very good swing of the bat. Let that ball get deep and drove it the other way.
Taps it to the pitcher, and the inning comes to an end. Couple of doubles and another run added to the lead. 5-0 after 7. Matt Caesar, after pinch hitting for Chris Coughlin, will finish the game in left. And Arrieta into the 8th with a 5-0 lead. Duda, Flores, and Neuenhuis due for the Mets.
Duda nothing for 2 strikeouts swinging. Arrieta, all his weapons working for him here tonight. Relied on fastball, slider, or cutter. Occasional changeup. Hasn't really thrown many curveballs.
All right, can I give you what I believe is kind of a, I don't know if I'd say meaningless stat, maybe too strong, but a stat that doesn't always mean what you think it means. The Mets have 0 left on base tonight. The Cubs have 11. It's only their second hit. And the note there is that the Mets haven't had any base runners. The Cubs have had a ton.
No, you're right. People always focus on that batting average with runners in scoring position, or on any given night they were 3 for 12 with runners in scoring position. What? It's 250.
Tonight they're 3 for 11.
Yeah.
The Mets are 0 for 0. They haven't had anybody reach second base. Jason Mott quickly getting loose here as Arrieta has hit 100 pitches. Hansel Robles up for the Mets.
Even if they told Jason not to be in a hurry down there, I think he would be in a hurry. I think it's just in his nature.
He is firing seeds right now. He's like, okay, I'm going to pitch now. Lined into right. Back-to-back singles to start this inning. Duda to third.
Guys just kind of going with the pitch. Duda lining his to left. Flores punching one into the right field corner. Pitch out away from him. Stays on it nicely. Good swing of the bat. Double play in the first, another one in the fourth. To get out of whatever trouble he's been in tonight, and it was fairly mild. Cubs will take two here and give up a run. Arrieta's working on a gem. He's not willing to concede anything. He's thinking punch out right here. As I mentioned during Neuenhuis's first at bat, he swings and misses a lot. A very high strikeout rate.
I have not seen the video, but Giancarlo Stanton has hit a ball out of Dodger Stadium, not over the fence, out of the ballpark.
Really?
I think it was to left. So it must have been over the bullpen.
I guess, yeah. That's the strikeout.
So big first out as he gets Neuenhuis.
Top of the zone running fastball. Seen Jerry Meals call that top of the zone heater a couple times tonight. Here's Plawecki, as Len mentioned last night. Indiana kid, went to Purdue, grew up a big Cub fan.
And he could not hold up. So I guess he hit it over the bleachers, just next to the bullpen. So it was more left center.
Wow. Don't they have that big overhead awning kind of dealio there? So he cleared that.
Yeah. Doesn't count any more than a normal home run. But the fact that it's 1-0. You don't get extra points, but yeah, still impressive. Fly ball to right. Duda ready to tag as Soler makes the catch. And he's going to fire home, and it'll be late. It's 5-1 on the sac fly by Plawecki.
So Plawecki named his two cats Sosa and Pryor. How much of a Cubs fan he was.
Johnny Monell will pinch hit.
Is there a tail of the tape on that home run? Put a number on it?
Let me look. We're now hitting for Gil Martin. .478. Yes. 460 across Waveland. So imagine the Glenn Allen Hill shot. Fly ball to left. Caesar coming over. Slicing in there. Hey, did he catch it? No, he didn't. He slid up near the sidewall. Good effort, didn't get it.
Yeah, running out of real estate here, and I think that wind knocked it down a little bit on him. And nice sliding effort, just can't corral it.
Swing and a miss, 1-2.
Let's see this baby go.
I didn't really see it, but it went over the pavilion. Outside, 2-2. He is a strong man, Giancarlo Stanton.
You could see the pitcher drop his head. Bolsinger, as soon as Stanton's bat contacted that baseball, there's no doubt it was going to go a long ways.
It's gotten pretty chilly here. Started at 54. The temperatures dropped a bit. Marietta's 2-2. Popped up. Back of the plate. To the seats.
Checking in with the rest of the division. Cardinals beat Cleveland 8-3. Pirates winners tonight 7-2 over Philadelphia. Reds one better than the Braves 4-3. Pirates by the way above 500 now with that win, 17-16.
Cubs hang on, they'll be 2 over, 17-15.
Brewers
of the night 6 out.
Brewers trailed the White Sox 3-2 in the ninth.
Called strike 3. On the curveball to get out of the inning. They get one on a couple of hits, but the Cubs still lead this one by 4. 5-1 in the 8th.
Cubs lead comfortably 5-1. They're coming to bat here in the bottom half of the 8th. We check in with our map on how to get to Wrigley Field. If you're riding your bikes, there's a free bike check. That's at the corner of Clark and Addison. If you're driving, the Cubs provide free parking and shuttle services on night and weekend games. That's from 3900 North Rockwell. And of course, the Cubs always suggest public transportation. You can hop on the Red Line. That works just fine too. For details, visit Cubs.com.
Hansel Robles on here in the 8th. 1, 2, 3, 6th last night with 2 strikeouts. Ball 1 to Chris Bryant. Held away.
This kinds of slings it up there. Worked 5 times at AAA. Didn't give up anything there. Trying his hand at getting big league hitters out now.
So I have a question about the baseball. The story is that Major League Baseball has added some security in the aftermath of Deflategate. A towering blast for Chris Bryant. Way back. It's gone. It's 6-1.
That young man is really good at playing baseball. All phases. And the funny thing is we've seen him display so much of it other than the power, and now the power is starting to show itself. Number 1 in Milwaukee the other day, number 2 here last night, and here goes number 3, your Ford home run replay. He's been beaten upstairs from time to time, but so he can get to that pitch on occasion as well.
It's 3 and 4 games now. Tonight, the infield single, his first career triple. And has reached 4 out of 5 times, including a walk. Rizzo clubs one to right. And he'll make his way to second with a double.
How about his night? On base for the 4th time. Patience as he works 3 walks. Now he jumps on a fastball. Maybe a changeup, 88 miles an hour.
Outside to Montero. So after the Patriots Deflategate controversy in the NFL, MLB has representatives observing the baseballs while the clubhouse assistant gets them. Oh, look out. That goes flying up into the stands. From the umpire's room to the field. And if they need to get more balls during the game, they have a security person get more from the umpire's room, not one of the team attendants. A ball boy or ball girl.
You're right. I'm wondering what they think, what nefarious action could take place.
That's what I'm asking you.
I don't know. I mean, the umpires always check the balls before they're put in play. The kid will run them out to the home plate umpire, so it's not like they're going to stuff them or anything for the home team. Doctor them up in any way.
Some of the changes in their policy happened before
I guess
the Deflategate.
It's into the category of due diligence, I guess. But yeah, I can't imagine. Although, you think back to Fred McMurray and the flubber. It could Little flubber on the baseball when the home team's hitting. I could really turn a game around in a hurry.
Your flubber reference, you just bailed yourself out of the Who stuff. I got to tell you, that was sweet. Nicely done.
There was a remake of Flubber, too, with Robin Williams a few years back.
And how was that one?
It's okay. It's okay. Guys are jumping out of the gym when they put the flubber on their shoes.
Should have asked Eddie. You like the original flubber or the remake?
If only that inning had lasted a little longer. I'm guessing Eddie's a flubber purist. He's a Fred McMurray guy.
1-0. It's like James Russell will get the ninth. Soler gets under one off of third. It's Murphy in foul territory.
Soler didn't miss that one by much.
So there's a 9-step process on the handling of baseballs. Got a storm at about 70 degrees, 50% humidity.
I guess that would be the thing, that if some balls were stored somewhere to change the nature of the baseball and then were exchanged, so I guess that's what this more than anything prevents from happening. Right. They can account for exactly which balls are being used.
Back. Did you know Pat Hughes apparently had a voiceover in the Flubber remake?
Did he really?
Yeah.
I did not know
it's all
that.
coming together.
Yeah,
see, we bring it all back to baseball. Thanks to Ryan Owens for that tweet. I did not know that.
I didn't either. We're going to have to ask Pat about that.
Was a basketball game. He was the announcer. Not credited though. We got to get on that. That movie came out in '97. Statute of limitations hasn't run out yet, I don't think. Castro bounces out. Bryant with another home run. He's connected in each game of this series. The Cubs lead 6-1 as we go to the ninth.
That is up to the moment, at any moment, with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com at bat for your smartphone or tablet. Chris Bryant, the man of the match tonight, along with Jake Arrieta. Jake took care of the pitching. Bryant, an offensive star. The infield hit, the triple off the wall on a line. And then the big fly. Pretty impressive stuff.
He's feeling it.
Also drew a walk, and the only time they got him out, his first at bat, he lined to center field.
Here's James Russell back with the Cubs. Brought up from AAA on the last road trip. Trying to get the final 3 outs with his team leading by 5.
Caught up with him briefly in the clubhouse in Milwaukee. He's very happy to be back in Chicago. And Joe Maddon's happy to have him. He likes his approach. He's not an overpowering guy, but pitches with a lot of moxie.
Look out, right through his legs is Tejada with a comeback base hit.
Pretty good approach, especially for a right-handed hitter against Russell. It was a real good off-speed pitch. He doesn't throw really hard, so a lot of hitters will tell you their approach is just to kind of look away, react in, feel like you can trust your hands to get to the fastball and try to hit the ball up the middle.
Anderson swinging away. Castro behind second. 1 out here in the ninth. Get easier the next 2 days. Matt Harvey and John Neese, as we mentioned. The Cubs will have Jason Hamill and Travis Wood. Mets have gotten to where they are largely via their pitching. Cubs a 4-3 winner last night, 6-1 here tonight. Two 2-0 on Murphy. After this 4-game series, we will see the Mets again at Citi Field at the end of June, and the first 2 days of July. 3-game set. So we have the movie poster from the Flubber remake. I hope Pat can see it in the radio booth. Show it to you after this pitch to Murphy. Line drive left field. It'll drop in front of Caesar for a base hit.
That's Murphy's game right there. Line drives all over the field. A little bit of a soft hit back in the 4th. Pushed a soft ground ball into left field. Squares this one up pretty well. Well, the Mets trying to put up a little bit of a fight here in the 9th. They got their best hitters coming up. There you go. Pat alongside the great Robin Williams. Coom saying, I had no idea, Pat.
Little did you know, and you dropped a flubber on us, that's where we would end up. Strike call to Kadire, 1-1. 31,542 the paid crowd tonight. Cubs had a rough 2-5 road trip, trying to start this week-long homestand with back-to-back wins.
Just in case. Hard throwing Hector. Starting to crank it up.
Two. Strike three, looking. Two down here in the ninth.
I get the sense that in the later stages of this game, Jerry Meals has started to hunt strikes a little bit more behind home plate. Final line on Jake Arrieta tonight: 8 innings, 3 hits, 1 run. It was earned. A couple of walks, 10 strikeouts. 116 pitches. His ERA was 3.41 at the start of the night. So it's right at 3 now.
Two on, two down. We're in the ninth. It's with 4 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th, 1 more in the 8th. The Mets got their lone tally on the top of the 8th. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Cubs win. Cubs win. Jake Arrieta, tremendous as he went 8 innings. The offense exploded in the 6th inning as they batted around and scored 4 times. And they've taken the first 2 of this series.
Syndergaard was pretty good, and the Cubs just wore him down and ultimately put up 1 big inning, and that's really all they needed. They got a little bit more after that, but with Arrieta on the mound doing his thing, they did not need a whole lot tonight.
High fives all around, and our Binny's Beverage Depot toast of the game belongs to Jake Arrieta.
Just a little wobbly first couple hitters of this game. We saw Montero kind of telling him, let's get back on track, get back on the plate. And boy, took advantage of that first inning double play, went to work, and a fairly typical Jake Arrieta performance here tonight. 10 punch outs, just a couple of walks, and 8 very good innings of work.
Chris Coughlin's had a good series and a big night tonight. Kelly Krall standing by in the field.
Thanks a lot. Well, Chris, that third time around was a charm. I mean, you hit the ball hard there in the 4th, but then in the 6th, you really got it going out there. What were you seeing from the 2 guys in front of you, and then when you stepped up on that 2-1 pitch?
Well, I thought Soley did a great job getting on base. We're going to count late, and then Starr having a big at bat. 2 strikes, you know, he'd been battling the guy, and hits a double down the line. And, you know, for me, I was just when I came over, they called timeout, pitching mound, and Jonesy was just like, hey, man, do your thing. Just hit it. You ain't got to worry about pulling him over. So he just gave me confidence to hit the ball wherever it was thrown, and fortunately I got a good pitch to hit.
Absolutely. And speaking of doing your thing, Jake Arrieta seemed to be doing his thing tonight. How about that performance?
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome, you know. I mean, he goes out there, and the first inning doesn't really go the best way for him. They get his pitch count up. I remember looking up, and it was the second inning. He had like 45 pitches, and then before you look at, I think it's the 8th inning, and he's still out there. So his stuff's so good, and whenever he can command it, it's going to be a long night for the other team.
Chris, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Two-run homer for Chris Coughlin, helping the Cubs out here with another victory tonight, guys.
Great work, Kelly. Thank you. Chris Bryant signing autographs before the game. And a big night for him and his teammates tonight as the Cubs beat the Mets. The final score, Cubs 6, Mets 1. We're back with you on Thursday. Pre-game coverage starts at 12:30. JD and I take over at 1. First pitch at 1:20. Stay tuned. Blue Cross Blue Shield Cubs post-game live is next.